Well, recently with Moana 2 crossing the $1 billion mark for Disney, that gives them 3 movies that crossed the $1 billion mark in 2024 with Inside Out 2, Deadpool and Wolverine, and now Moana 2. Technically, it hit it in 2025, but either way, 3 movie releases in 2024 that hit $1 billion, which is a great year for Disney, as in the recent past, before that, they had some duds come out in the box office, so it seemed a lot of the content that they are putting out in the movies have at least reversed course in terms of the audience reaction to it and people liking it. But one thing coming up this year, there are a few movies that could be an issue for Disney, as I don't think they're going to have the banner year they did in 2024, one of those being the Snow White movie, as that one has been basically pushed back for a long time due to negative fan reaction from Rachel Zegler, and also the fact that Snow White was the first Disney animated movie that really put them on the map, and a lot of people feel that, at least what they've heard thus far, they're not paying homage to that movie in a lot of the ways that movie is being described. The other movie that potentially could be some issues for Disney in terms of making money is Captain America: Brave New World, as this movie has been reshot numerous times. The budget is reportedly north of $300 million, if not higher. It's been reported not only of multiple reshoots, but bad test screenings and really seemingly trying to fix this movie. And it seems now we're looking at perhaps with Captain America: Brave New World that it could have an opening very similar to The Eternals, which, if you remember, The Eternals was not a box office success. So we're going to read through this article here on Pirates and Princesses to talk about this, because this could be a movie that ends up losing quite a bit of money for Disney. So hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic. And again, this says Brave New World opening may be similar to The Eternals. It says Captain America: Brave New World is opening in theaters on Valentine's Day. Early pre-sale tickets went on sale just a few days ago, and so far it isn't looking too hot for the Marvel film. Captain America: Brave New World is being compared to the opening total of The Eternals, which is around $71 million in late 2021. The poor box office was then attributed to the pandemic. It is said to be selling better than the Marvels, which opened to about $46 million in late 2023, but far below Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which opened to $106 million in 2023. It says all these films were basically considered flops. Again, we are only a few days into the pre-ticket sales. The early box office predictions put this film between $81 million and $107 million at domestic opening. The full run is estimated to fall between $195 million and $280 million domestically. Says this does not count global audience, which can make a big difference in the final total. Well, and the thing about this movie, in like $100 million opening weekend would not be bad. I mean, on paper, but the problem is the budget for this movie is so high that essentially it has to make about $1 billion to just break even. So if you're not familiar with the way the box office splits go, if they do make $108 million domestically on opening weekend, it's not as if Disney or Marvel gets all that money. They have to do a split with the theater. So typically in the U.S., it's around half, roughly, you could say. Now you're talking overseas, the biggest market being China. The U.S. markets, I think they take home 20% or 30%. Like China keeps most of that money. So there's different splits everywhere. So even a big international box office doesn't necessarily translate to major profits, depending on how it goes. Obviously, you can make money on those, but you have to make a lot more money in overseas ticket sales to really recoup a lot of that cost. But basically, if it doesn't make $1 billion, which I don't think this movie is going to, there's nothing that really points to the fact that it will. This movie is probably due to lose quite a bit of money. So let's say it does, a lot of people pointed to around $400 million total box office. It could fall somewhere between there. Even if it hits $400 to $500 million, it's still going to lose a significant amount of money for Disney, more than likely, given the marketing budget and just the overall cost of this. And in their defense, Marvel has basically admitted, unlike Lucasfilm, that they recognize they need to change course a bit here. The Daredevil trailer that just came out, I actually think that looks fantastic. You've seen them bring back Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doctor Doom for the new Avengers movies coming up. The rumors are out there, and I don't know if it's been confirmed that Chris Evans will come back as Captain America, probably as a certain type of Captain America that is a bad guy. I hope that's not the case, but it very likely could be. But I think really what this comes down to is Disney, Marvel got into this habit of thinking that these characters are just mantles that could be swapped in and out between. Iron Man is not Tony Stark. Iron Man can be anybody. Captain America isn't Steve Rogers. He could be anybody. And that's simply just not the case. This is actually shown in the comics as well. When they would try these things, it didn't go over very well because Captain America is Steve Rogers. And I actually like Falcon as a character, but I just don't feel like him as Captain America does the character any justice. And I think ultimately what it's doing, it's setting up, Anthony Mackie and this character to ultimately fail, because what people don't want to see is Falcon as Captain America. People want to see Steve Rogers as Captain America. I always like the dynamic with Steve Rogers and Falcon when they're in these movies, but now you take this out of here. There's just a lot of things going on with this. Plus, you have to lean into the fact that it's been ever since 2019 that we saw Cap give the shield to Falcon. And since then, there was a Disney Plus show. But to assume that a lot of these people that would potentially go see this movie watch the Disney Plus show to understand really what's going on here, I think is also asking a lot, as that's been proven that a lot of times people will go to the movies, but they don't necessarily watch all the shows. So there's probably a lot of people that are kind of confused at the fact that it's a Captain America movie, but it's Falcon in here. So I think that right off the bat probably has a lot of people just a little confused. Plus you have Red Hulk being thrown in here. There's a lot of things going on with this movie that I think for the general audience, they're not tuned into the MCU like they were. There's probably fatigue, and I've talked about it before, but I think when you talk about superhero fatigue, it can be a real thing, but I also think it's just bad writing and bad storytelling fatigue. And I think this lends into this as, again, this movie has been reshot multiple times trying to scrap together a movie that they think will do well. And ultimately, even if it ends up being a good movie, it's probably asking a lot for it to make $1 billion. Deadpool Wolverine made $1 billion, but Deadpool and Wolverine are very popular characters with very popular actors playing these roles. And this is a mashup that people were really wanting to see for a very long time. I don't think that has, the success of Deadpool and Wolverine has nothing and will not carry anything into Captain America Brave New World. And I think really when you look at superhero movies, for the most part, they have a pretty significant drop-off after that opening weekend. So even if it does have a pretty strong opening weekend, many times we see a 50% drop-off in ticket sales the following weekend. So if the word of mouth is good, if it is a good movie, it potentially could have a longer, better run. But I do think it's going in an uphill battle here to get to $1 billion. And again, $1 billion would just basically be breaking even here. So more than likely, this movie is going to lose money. As probably the best chance for this movie to potentially be profitable lies in the overseas ticket sales. It's not looking great in terms of, the recent Marvel movies outside Deadpool, Wolverine haven't really performed that well. And I think there is some fatigue here when it comes to superheroes and just Marvel stuff. And really, obviously, it peaked at Endgame. And there's just a lot of confusion as to what's going on here. And I think if it was a Captain America movie with Steve Rogers and Falcon, I think this would probably do very, very well at the box office. But I think there's just a lot of confusion about what's going on here, where this lies. And really, the thing with the MCU is like, where is this going? There was a clear thing with the initial run-up with the MCU of these were all leading toward a battle with Thanos. And obviously, they had set up King the Conqueror, but then Jonathan Majors got in legal trouble. So there's really no clear definition of where these movies are leading up to. And I think that also, kind of lends itself into this of saying, well, what's really going on? What's the point with this? And I think audiences in general are just not really sure where this movie is, what it is, and really what's the motivation to go see it. But more than likely, we're probably looking at somewhere around the Eternals, Quantumania, but more than likely this probably will end up losing money for Disney, as well as probably Snow White later this year. So Disney, coming off a very strong 2024, may not hit 2025 off on the best foot, at least being a profitable movie, but we'll have to wait and see how it all ends up shaking out. And if the movie ends up being good or not, I'll probably go watch it and maybe do a review on it. But either way, we'll have to wait and see how it ends up doing and how it ends up being. But either way, that's going to be it though for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel, as we do lots of coverage here of theme parks and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, are you excited for Captain America Brave New World? And do you think it's going to be a profitable movie? And until next time, we will see you later.